basically, if you go to their scintilla.org, scintilla documentation,
Yeah.
if you go there, you will see all the things that you can do with the control. You can actually have text, copy text, like information, mouse capture. You have the markers, key bindings, printing, and if I remember correctly, you have auto completion, annotations. I don't know if you have noticed in Notepad++ that you have these annotation windows that tell you about the command that you're typing, right? So that's with annotations and stuff like that. Now,
so this is available using the object that we create with the wrapper that you demo? Okay.
Yeah, you have here the search and replace. So you have to search. They explain you how to search. So the only thing that you have to do with my wrapper is just grab this name and put it for your variable. So if you have a variable called SCI, you would just use it exactly like that.
Okay.
Then you just hit the start.
They are methods that you can use with the object created
basically
with your
wrapper. My wrapper just allows you to use the name of the function in AutoHotkey. That's the only thing that it does. Now, there are a few functions that are in the newest versions of Scintilla. Now, whenever you see something like this that has been deprecated for a different version, use the deprecated one, because my Scintilla DLL that I downloaded, the one that I use, is the older version of Scintilla, version 4 point something. But when they say that they deprecated it, it's for version 4, which is the one that I use. And version 5 uses a different one. I haven't implemented that. I actually haven't updated the wrapper in a long time. So the older version might still work. Yeah. One of the most common of what is the caret. So the set caret foregrounds and backgrounds, they kind of like deprecated it in favor of get element color and set element color. But I do not have those. So if you want to set the caret foreground color, which is something that we discussed in the video with Joe, because I was changing the background of the console itself to black, so I needed to set the caret to white. If you want to do that, you would have to use the older version of the function, not the newest one. So
which is the one that you
so this is the newest version, yeah. So you would have to use the set element color, but I haven't implemented that one yet. You will have to use the caret foreground and that.
And I've seen on the forum about your wrapper that there was an issue using 64-bit executable. Is it still the case? It has to be compiled with 32 bits?
Right, that is correct. So 32 bits is working. The thing is that when I created the wrapper at that time, 64-bit was not a thing, right? So it was just for 32 bits, and I honestly didn't understand that yet. So once I created it, and then now I understand what the issue is and where I should have just removed a few things, but I haven't updated the wrapper yet because I'm busy with other things. But I think somebody sent a pull request for that. The reason why I haven't actually added it into the thing is because I haven't tested. But basically, there is kind of like a fix available in my, that code is in GitHub and it is public. So you can go ahead and take a look at it.
And you plan to do the update to the latest Scintilla?
Yes. So basically, the reason why I haven't updated that older version is because I'm planning to redo it a little bit better because I've noticed a lot of issues with my code. But yeah.
Good. Can you need help for that, for the documentation? I see that sometimes the documentation is can be very fragmented, so I could help you on that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I get any help that comes my way because actually it is a public code just for that. If you want to upgrade stuff, just do it. Send the pull request, and I'm more than happy to just add it into the. Okay. Awesome. Let me see.
Demo that.
Oh yeah. So and just to show Guy what is going on, right?
Yeah. Just to show the power of it, right?
Right. So we had. Two examples here. So those that have never seen what the scintilla control does, let me just go ahead and show really what it's all about. So before I show you anything, let me comment all of this out to make it a little bit simple.
And we have a video that walks through.
Right. The video walks through the whole thing, but basically it is very easy. You create, and these two lines are not really needed. They're just there to compare.
Yeah.
But I just added two basic edit controls and a scintilla control. The main point, if you're thinking about this, is you need the handle to the main window, to the window that you want to add the scintilla to.
Yes.
Because when you create the new scintilla control, you have to tell it where you're going to put it. And for that reason, the handle to the main window you're telling it, okay, put it on that window. And then when you run the code,
What is the dollar sign before the main?
no, that's just a naming convention. You can actually just
Okay,
use
right.
that.
Okay,
Just
it's nothing special. Okay.
No, it's
It's
not
you
special.
pay us money.
No, but basically I just use that to remind myself that that variable is just a handle all the time. So that is not a variable that will contain text. So basically, in that point, I set the size of the control in here, where I'm going to put it, and I just told it where the DLL is at. If you don't tell it where the DLL is at, it would just try to find it, but it's not really good at it. So just tell it where the scintilla controller is. So that means that you can use any scintilla control, any DLL that you have available. I'm using version 4, and what it does is that it creates, you have the two edit controls that you see up here, and the scintilla control. Now, the scintilla control by itself, it is not much. The only difference that you can see is here at the left side that you have kind of like a bar. That's it. But later on, when you start setting up options, and I actually went ahead and explained in the video what those options are and how it works. Now, right away, you would notice the difference. Let me just comment something out. And you will notice that in a few lines of code, basically this part in here, it would make a huge difference on how the control looks like. I'm sorry, I actually placed it. But now I changed the background of it, I changed the coloring of it, and just with the things down here, so this down here is setting the lexer. So the lexer is a very special part of the scintilla controls that checks what you're typing all the time.
Okay.
And for example, automatically notice that that is colored red. Let me make it bigger. It's colored red because it's saying there's a mistake in what you're typing. So the scintilla controller is all the time checking what you're typing, depending on the lexer that I put. I just set the lexer for HTML, so it's always checking whether you're typing HTML or not. If you're not typing HTML, I set it to red to indicate that. But basically, as soon as you type something that is valid, it changes color for it. So it is a control that, depending on what the control has, you can set colors automatically, which is great for.
I can see how this can be really,
It is very useful, for example, not only for lexing or stuff like that, but for example, if you have a program that is showing you the status of something, it can change the color of text based on the status of it. So, and in my case, I set the control to be kind of like a very big control, but I can make it one line. And that line, you can make it at the bottom of your program, and it's just checking the status of your program and coloring stuff depending on the state of your program. So yeah,
I can see how it can be really, really powerful depending on.
yes.
But
You mentioned the version for the Lexer. Is it the same thing as the version of Scintilla control, or it's different?
So let me explain what the difference is. Version 4 of Scintilla, which is the one that I have here, the Lexer.dll, that one has the Lexer and the control in the same DLL.
Okay.
Right. Now, version 5, they decided to put the Lexer in one DLL and the control in a different DLL. So this part here that adds the scintilla control to the window, that is in one DLL. And this part here, where I'm setting a Lexer, it would be calling a different DLL. That's what happens. So I will make a wrapper that you don't have to care about that. You just have to download the two DLLs, and the wrapper is going to take care of which one to call.
And the one that combines the two is available on the Scintilla website, or you
Yeah,
mentioned at some point that you combine, that you did the
no, no,
combined
so,
file.
no. So basically, what I'm saying is, my wrapper does not take in consideration the two different DLLs right now, because it is for version 4,
Yeah,
which was the same DLL.
which
Now,
include the next
Right. So that one, yeah. This one here included the Lexer and the control
Yeah.
in the same DLL. And that's how my router is set up at the moment. It just takes for that DLL into account. But if you want to use version 5, it is doable still. The only thing is that my wrapper doesn't facilitate that for you yet.
And if something is written for version 4, do you expect major changes in version 5? Rewriting it, or just slight
No, not really.
adjustment?
No. Slight adjustments, because this was one of the interesting things that I did with my Lexer. For people out there that are trying to work with libraries, one of the things that I did is that it doesn't matter what function you call, and actually, just to show you what I mean. And this is interesting because it's being touched in our objects course, okay? So this is something that I learned a long time ago, and I used it. Remember that we have this automatic function called, underscore call. So whenever you call a function that doesn't exist in your code, it will call this particular function. What I did is that it doesn't matter what you call, it would automatically do some things for you and call the right function for you. So that means that I do not have to add or remove functions from my library. You just have to call it, and what is going to happen is my script is going to just convert the name of the function to that particular value that it has. Because basically, if they're not functions, they're messages that you're sending. They're notifications. So if you want to add the newer functions for version 5, the only thing you have to do is go to the main Scintilla function.
Get the number.
Get the number of it, because they have it in the documentation, and just add it there, and the control is going to work just fine, right? Because my script is just going to send the thing. You do not have to define a function. You do not have to do anything very complex. It's just adding the newest functions as a variable here with what they have. So,
Great. Thanks.
so, yeah, I hope that helps. And I do know that the Scintilla control is really powerful. And for me, I use it for Lexing auto hotkey in my control, but you can use it for many other things. You can actually use it for status.
I would use it in my clipboard editor, replacing the edit control.
Exactly.
Because it could be cool to have in the editor the syntax highlighter.
Not only the
your-
syntax highlighter,
on
but
the
actually
keyboard.
autocomplete. Actually, the Scintilla control has built-in autocomplete function. So basically, if you have many commands or things that you can do, you can have an annotation window that gives you information about it, but you also have the autocomplete. But if you need fast, it actually just autocompletes.
That's the kind of project where you have to decide where you stop. It's a clipboard editor. It's not a replacement for HD video or
Right.
The other thing, though, is because this is, I had another chat with Maestria that we were talking about in general, and he was just saying how, like, Thom was working on an IDE in AutoHotkey, and he was coloring, the edit controls with AutoHotkey, and that was what Maestria with HK Studio. He went down that route at first and realized, hey, this Scintilla control stuff, it's just the same thing as like a regular expression. It's optimized for doing just that, right? So it's really, really fast, and AutoHotkey isn't built for that kind of stuff. So it allows you to have access to this very simply, right? To have a way to do this very fast.
Yeah, it is optimized for it. It already has the functions. You just have to call them, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I have actually many times talked about this. If you are building a project, most of the times try not to reinvent the wheel unless unless there's a very specific need for that. For example, well, that wheel is very cool, but I want to have control over this part, and they don't let me. Then just go ahead and try it.
Well, or like maybe I think Tom was doing it also just as a learning experiment too, right? Which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, of course.
It was just
Yeah, it started out with something else and then kind of turned into this whole other project that I was like, yeah, I'm having fun doing it. I'm just gonna go a little crazy with it. It just started with like doing a fuzzy search, and that was it.
There were like many wrappers for Scintilla around when I started that. They were not like full because they implemented every single one of the functions by themselves, which it has its own value because then it allows me to auto-complete them. But the problem is that what I needed at that point, it was a little bit different. I said, let me try it. And while I was doing it, I was like, oh, I'm learning a lot. I actually learned quite a lot by doing that particular project. And I definitely recommend that. Whenever you're learning, go a little bit further away from your boundaries where you feel comfortable. Like, I know how to do this. If you're just learning, just try something outside of that. You're going to learn way so much by doing that, yeah.
So this is why I do conversations. So once you learn what you don't know, and you get insight into what can be done, rather than having to hours and hours and hours to keep insane.
well, yeah, which is why I generally try to when I'm consulting, right? I'll say, what's your goal, right?
What
Like,
are you trying to do?
how do you do this? How do I get this code to work? Let's take a step back. What's your goal, right? Because often there's a much different, better approach. Not always, but it's just I've always found it better to take a step back and make sure everything is lined up.
Yeah, that is right.
It's like us, some person.
It's fine.
This is entertainment. I just want to know because it's fun.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That is correct.
I've got a quick question for you.
Yeah, there was a chat. There was a chat on the Isaiah. Someone was asking about the UI automation, and he didn't quite specify if he's using what browser or not. He just said getting the URL from a thing. But we can switch to that. Guy, go ahead and ask your question.
It's a really, really, really simple question.
Let's hope so.
Right.
No, it's a question of what tried it, and I spent too many hours.
Let's see. So the mouse, yes, okay. It is a simple answer. That's the thing.
Get it, but animate.
No, well, your cursor must be an animation. So if the cursor is not an animation, it's not going to get animated, right?
Window. Not my own. Understand the window plate.
Oh, the little clock that is waiting.
Oh, that's in certain versions of Windows, whatever the icon that shows, sometimes it's an arrow and a circle. Whatever the system waits.
Yeah, I get it, but that's not doable. So you can specify a specific icon. Well, you know what? It is kind of doable in the sense of I could get the current icon for the weight and copy it, and then use it. But if it is already set, then why do you want to change it?
No, what I'm saying is my program is gone and do something. I want the icon to say, so well, look, hold on, I'm still working, I'm synced up.
I have in my code to change the cursor to the blue circle.
Yes.
That tells the user, but it's not animated, and I haven't found myself how to animate it. So it's easy to change the cursor, but not to have it animated.
Let me tell you how to animate it. You will need a loop and change the cursor with different cursors.
But there's only one cursor with the blue circle.
The one
so
that you have
there's
found. Yeah, but that's the thing. The one that you have found. So basically, either you create different images, or those images are somewhere else. Maybe the icon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe it is an animation. I don't know. Right. So
you would create a loop with a set timer.
I would
change it every,
just to kind of like loop through the icons while he's waiting. So it is,
Using set timer.
yeah, so the animation basically always, most of the times, you would have to do it yourself, unless it is an animated cursor. And I think there is a type of extension that is an animated cursor that when you set it, it is already animated. I don't know. That particular part, I cannot answer it. But what I'm saying is,
It's built into Windows.
right, now, here's the question, and this is a question that I have for anybody who might have answered that, is like, is there a way for me to tell the system that I am in a waiting period so the system sets the waiting cursor
Correct. That's what I'm
instead of
asking.
setting it myself? Right, that is an answer that I do not have. Because somehow the system knows that I'm waiting and sets the cursor to the waiting period, right? So for example, somehow when you're opening Word, when it is loading, it tells Windows, hey, I'm waiting, and Windows looks for the default icon and sets it to the wait queue, whatever.
So it's not Word that it's not Word that
I think that it's not that Word sets the icon for it. I think Word tells the system, hey, I'm working on something. If we can find out what that is, then the system is going to go ahead and do it for you. And that would be better because the system knows what the default icon is. That's what I think is happening, but I wouldn't be able to answer that question.
After
Because I don't.
spending 6 hours searching and trying, I've given up, saying, you know what, it's purely a vanity project.
Yeah, that's just genetics, right? But in general, I do think there is a way of doing that. I think the way, what we're looking for is how to tell the system that we are in a waiting state. That's all. After we know that, then might do it automatically. But I haven't actually thought about that. I have never used that myself, so I wouldn't.
Well, and I would also consider, rethinking what the goal is and how to actually notify them of, can you put a tool set next to the cursor?
I can. I just
Yeah, to learn that particular section, which is always a good thing. But in that case, I would say like we would have to figure that one out. For now, I do not have plans of checking on that because I do not have any projects that need that at the moment. But if at some point I actually stumble upon the answer or whatever, I would sure let you know.
it's a kind of nice thing to have as part of your code if you can just copy and paste it from somewhere.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. No, I do understand what you mean, and it is a very interesting question. The only thing is that I cannot answer it just this moment. Maybe at some point. So the question, Joe, that had to do with the UIA. So what I would understand is that he wants to set the address bar to something, and
No, he didn't specify. He just said, let me go in the chat here. He was trying to get the URL, having trouble grabbing URL from Element, and wonder if it's possible. And I asked him if he had watched either of the videos on working with Chrome or Chromium, and he hadn't. And I was just saying, like, there's a lot of different approaches.
grabbing the URL from an element.
Right. But he did say YouTube, but that doesn't actually help us really, understanding.
Okay, so if he's working in YouTube,
But he didn't mention whatever browser.
right?
So,
No,
assume Chrome.
let's just go ahead and assume the simplest thing, that he wants to go to the YouTube page, grab an element, a particular element, and that might be a video, of course. And from that video, I would like to know the ID or the URL to that video. Let's assume that's what he wants, right? And talking about assuming, we were talking about assuming stuff.
Right.
So the main idea that you would like to do is basically, this is what I usually do. Whenever I want to try something, I manually go to YouTube or the page that I want to go and just verify and inspect the elements and see if I can really do that. So one of the things that I see here is that there is an anchor element here, and it has a reference here, and it gets you the link to that thing. So basically what we want to do is just target that particular element basically probably with the class. And after I get the class, for example, here, after I get this class, I would get the href of it. So basically, I would definitely start by playing around in the console. I would say document, query, and selector all, for example. Get the elements that I need. Let me change the spaces to dots. I need to do that. And we're going for selector all. And after I get that, I know that it's a node list, so I would get the first one of them. And after I get that, then I could try to access the href and notice that I am able to get the information. So now that I got that, I could use that with different libraries. For example, if you're using Rufadium, it would be very simple because Rufadium allows you to do the query selector all. So as you can do the query selector all with Rufadium, the only thing that you have to do is then just get the href for that particular element. So again, I will not go over the whole example right now because it's a little bit complex, but that is where I would actually lead you to. Just get Rufadium, try to understand it, get to the YouTube page, and then use the query selector all function, and just use the class that you can get from the elements here. And after you get the class, use the numbering system to access one of them. And then when you access one of them, just use the href to get the value out. So that's what I could actually point to.
And object, the guy asking the question, I assume guy, says he knows it's possible to get the URL with UIA, which, yes, it is. Here's the thing with UIA, correct me if I'm wrong, Isaias. With UIA, we don't directly have access to the DOM. And so...
Not exactly.
Yeah, it becomes a bit more, not complex, but a very different approach, I guess is the way to say it, right?
That's the way of saying it. I would actually definitely not play with UIA unless it's strictly required.
But yeah, which would, part of it is, hey, if you can't install or download executables, that's
one specific way.
If you're not planning to do a crap load of web scraping, if you're just getting one link or something, another great, it's a good one too. If you're going to do a lot of stuff, I wouldn't be doing it with the UIA.
Right. It is a different approach, and the more we talked about it with the Escalada, for example,
right,
the more we realize this is a very specific library for very specific needs. If you don't want to invest too much time learning it, like that's the better approach would be Rufadium because it's a little bit more simple, because it is more common to what you do.
And which actually, it's a really good point, Isaias. One I was going to say is if you know the DOM, but if you don't know the DOM, the examples you can find about web scraping, 90% of them or more are going to be about the DOM. And so,
right. And they're going to be easy to convert into Rufadium.
Right.
But if you try to convert it into UIA, it's going to be a little bit more complex. So
yeah, we're not saying don't use it. It's just really consider the alternatives. And then there's also auto controls and extension you could use if you can't install an executable. You could have, if you can install an extension, you can connect it to DOM that way.
Right.
Thom had a question. I think he said he was maybe missing some files or something.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just missing something simple here. Let me share. So I got a list box, and I'm trying to get all my folders from my desktop. So something's going wrong right here. I've tried so many things, and I feel like I'm just missing something.
I cannot hear you. Hold on.
I hear it.
Yeah, well, I cannot hear anybody. Hold on.
All right.
Yeah, it's in your end.
Everyone just move your mouth and don't actually talk when he goes to be like, what? Yet, Isaias?
Oh, yeah, I'm back. I think it was my internet.
Okay.
I was like, what?
We can hear you, though. That was the irony, is we can hear you.
Yeah, right now my screen is still, everything is stopped. Like, I cannot see anything. Okay. But now I can hear you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So I'm just trying to update. I have a list box right here. And I'm just trying to display all the folders that are on my desktop. So I got the path here, folder. I've tried like different things. Like I've done files, comma. I've tried DR, getting rid of this. I feel like I'm missing something very basic here to create my GUI
So
list.
you're trying to loop over the files in the desktop. Is that what you're trying?
Yeah, and create a list that's in the
Okay,
format
so
of list box.
I think the path, how you have it written, is incorrect. So let's go
Something,
ahead
yeah.
and remove file and the comma, right? And before the asterisk does asterisk, put a backslash in there, and remove the D. Just
Okay.
But
try
see,
that.
on line 8, you got a equals, right?
Right. Well, let's try this. So put a message box instead of the assignment. Put a message box.
Yeah, I just deleted that. Still left it.
No. But I mean inside the loop. Right.
Oh.
No, not GUI list. Nope. Remove that. Just remove. Instead of GUI list, put the A loop file full path. And actually, you want the A loop field. Or well, hold on, no.
Yeah, that's a problem with AutoHotkey.
Right. Yeah.
Loops, different
So,
types.
yeah, the type of loop. I think you're right. It should be. Hold on.
One of them, the first thing is the folder, and the rest is the files in it, right?
No, you have to put. Hold on.
One loop. And then the other one, you get the full.
Allow me just 1 second. Yes, the thing is that they changed the syntax. So yeah, they changed the syntax. You have to put loop, comma, files, comma, the file pattern, and then
Well, it's working a little better. Hold on. Yeah, so now it's getting everything. So I need the folder only.
Well, launch it again, Tom. And the very first one is the very first one, the folder.
right. So here's the thing. Now we have. Hold on. Give me just a minute. Click OK.
These are like hidden folders.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. Like keep going because those are not the. Those are specific files. But what I'm looking for is the fact that you're looking for a loop file full path, but I don't see the full path in there. See what I mean?
Oh yeah. And then look, even though it went through all that, it's displaying
No,
one
but
single
that's
item.
Not really, that's not really. And
But yeah.
did you get desktop? Why is
Order path content. What is
right? It's wrong. So here at the
It's
top,
A.
you a desktop.
a desktop?
Oh.
A underscore desktop.
See, I knew it was probably gonna be something simple I was missing.
Right. Let's try that. Now, let me say, now we got the full paths.
And
Oh my god, I can't believe I wasn't thinking about that. See, I knew it was gonna be something simple.
Right. So this is one of the things. And the second thing is, let me double check.
Now I just want to get folders. I don't want.
Right.
Yeah.
And let me just clarify something. There is a new syntax. What you're doing right now is deprecated. The new syntax says loop, comma, files, comma, that, then comma at the end, and now you're going to want to have FDR. So that means files, folders, and refers. So that would go inside the folders and list whatever is in there too.
I don't want to do that.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
then you just remove that.
I just want the main
the
folder.
directories.
Yeah.
No, if you remove D, if you just put D, it was not going to list the files then. So you have to use
Yes,
FD.
but that's what Tom wants.
You only want the directories.
I only want the folders that are on my
Okay,
desktop.
then,
Yeah.
Then there you go.
Okay, so I was using the new thing. I just had that A desktop thing
Right.
missing.
So basically, the A desktop part of it, parameters 3.
D is not. Is there supposed to be a comma here?
No, hold on. The parameter 3 is the folder path. Are you using the latest version of AutoHotkey? Version 1?
Yeah.
So that is 1.1.21.
At least I think. I actually don't know. No, I'm using a little bit older.
All right, but maybe you don't have the new syntax yet. So just remove the file then. The file version of it, right? That.
Try that.
because that is on the newest version. Though.
See, I didn't know the.
Now, hold on. This is actually giving you.
Wow. Yeah, the D option is with the new syntax.
Not exactly.
I don't know.
The old, okay, so include folders is is 1, 0, 1, and 2. So the 0 is folder, so 1 is all folders, 5 and
0
folder,
is
and
only-
2.
0 is
Number
only
2
5.
is only the folders.
So-
So the number 2 instead of a D.
Instead of a D. Okay.
So it's 2 instead of a D.
I didn't know that changed recently, or whenever they did the update.
Right, so that's the reason why.
That's why I
if you
was
go to the
using-
go to the documentation, you have to be careful when they point to
Yeah.
new syntax. So if it says new syntax, you have to verify if you have the correct version for it. And then at the top they tell you,
It's 1.121.
right.
Now it's working.
And more.
Perfect.
Yes, now it's working. Now if you remove the message box, you should get the list totally. So
Yeah.
just the message box, just remove that part. And now you should get your GUI with the list of folders. Now, one of the things that I'm noticing is that you put, so let me, you see that bar that you're putting in front of the variable?
Yes.
That is replacing the list every single time. Put it at the end. Put it not at the beginning, but at the end.
All right. Yeah. No, I knew that I had to fix. Yeah. So put that at the end.
So that should fix it for you. And one thing is you have to be appending, not adding it.
Yeah.
That's what I've been trying to say all along.
Right. No, not that.
Well,
not
do
that.
this.
Oh, well, yeah, just at the beginning, just put a dot equals. So you put dot equals, right? You put a dot. No, just a dot.
It's hard to see my keyboard with my mic.
No, but that's not it. It's not that. It's just a dot.
Oh, dot.
Right. Now, remove the percent signs. You can delete that part. That complete part you can delete. Right. Just remove the percent signs and the bar, put it in quotation marks.
The bar is just
Text. That is going to be text. Make a space between the text and the bar. No, not there.
Between.
Sorry.
Before the quote.
Before the quote.
Oh, before the quote.
Right there. So what you're doing right now, just the dot equals sign is appending automatically. So you don't have to actually put the name
Okay.
of the variable again.
I've never done it this way.
Appending. Right. So this is appending. So you're going to get the full path and a bar, and it will be just simply appending one over and over again. So that is a very quick way of appending stuff. Now it should just go ahead and list it for you.
Just remember,
I've never done it this way. I like it.
just make sure you blank out that variable, because if you
Yeah.
it keeps adding to it, and it's one of the
Yeah.
that you realize.
Yeah, so after you use it, so now that you've shown after you show the GUI, just go ahead and remove the variable or just blank it out in case you actually append to it later. Because if you keep appending to it, if you keep appending to it, it would actually keep the older information, right?
Well, if I close it and open it, yeah.
Yeah, you see, it is going to keep appending to it. So after you show the GUI, just go ahead and, or after you use it.
Or to Guy's point, do it before. So every time before it clears it.
Oh, before the loop, just before the loop, just clear it.
The nice thing about that is it's right there. Otherwise,
Right.
you have to go somewhere else and.
Colon equals blank, and that's it, right?
So yeah, that's a good point there.
Okay.
I actually, and this is a very good practice, and Guy just mentioned it, and I usually do it myself. Any variable that you're going to use inside of a loop, always declare it a little bit above the loop.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that automatically takes care of all these little issues. If you declare the variable before using the loop, it will be blank before the loop, always. Or it will have the default value before the loop.
Yep,
And that
yep.
automatically takes care of this kind of little details.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was something simple. I can't believe I messed the A desktop, too. And I didn't realize this was old syntax.
Ironically, like we were talking about the scintilla
Good to
control
know.
earlier, this is one of the things of why using a tool other than Notepad, right? We should have noticed that the variable,
Color.
the color was wrong.
That's what I noticed. When I saw desktop, it was white, and I was like, hold on, what does desktop contain? Because that's a custom variable. Okay, did you set up desktop at some point? No. Oh, so you were using the wrong one. the reason why I asked about it was because of the color. It was white, and I was like, okay, hold on, this is a normal variable. He should have set it up somewhere.
All right, so object, the guy that had the question about the UI automation,
Okay.
scraping stuff.
Hi.
Mute yourself. There we go.
Yo,
Hey,
hello?
there we
Oh,
go.
oh, what's up, everybody?
Everything good.
So basically, I'm on UI library. I'm using it, and basically, what I'm trying to do is get the URL from an element on YouTube. But
From within Chrome, that's what we're.
yeah. But what I was saying by I know it's possible, it's because when I use a message box dump all, it tells me the URL.
Oh, so let me just double check on that, because if when you say dump all, there's one of the entities that has the URL, you just have to target that.
Can you
So-
share your screen?
Yeah, if you can share
Yeah.
your screen and show us what it looks like, so I can
Okay,
just go
okay.
ahead and guide you.
I got you.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is a simple, hopefully simple fix.
Right.
All right, can you guys see this?
Yep.
All right, so basically it's right here. So this is what I tried. So if I go to like I pull up like a bunch of YouTube videos, like let's say like something like was. So let me pull this over here. Let's say something random, right? I search was, right?
Yep.
And I click G. Hold on, let me run this. I click G. Let me drag over this message box. The value is empty, right?
No, it's not empty, but I will show you what it is. I will explain what it is.
Wait. Hold on. This is the other Chrome. I need to do it over here.
Yeah.
Let me drag over this message box that says,
Dump all.
hell?
It's live. It'll break, of course. You're live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what just happened, man. Doesn't always break when it's live.
The way it is, you get used to it. I'm just.
Alright, so basically when I was doing dump off with the button, it was giving me like the URL as the value, right? And then I tried targeting the value, but yeah, that didn't.
But as a value of a button, buttons do not. Well, I'm not really sure. Let me.
Oh, it's not a button.
Hey, that's what I was gonna say. This is not really a button. This is actually something else. Automation ID video title that actually brings an element. In that particular element, you can get the value of it. So what we can do, let me share my screen real quick, because I know more or less where you're going with it now, and this might be something simple in the last 15 minutes we have, and we could just use the ACC accessibility for Windows, and let me see if I could find this. Might go real quick just to have a quick example. So just and if I go to YouTube, no. Oh, come on. Let me double check. YouTube test. And if I go ahead and run this up, you were probably listening to one of these guys. Hold on, let me see. Where is my...
I got it by clicking down and not like releasing the click that gave me the element.
Now this is one of them. It says link, right? Now you were saying that somehow the URL was showing up somewhere in this thing. So let me double check if it is this. Okay. I'm having issues kind of like seeing the elements for some reason.
Because it's live.
And no, you know what I think is messing up with this? The sharing of the screen. Let me double check something, because Yeah, because the screen share creates kind of like a hidden window that you cannot see, but it's there. And probably the the accessibility tool is trying to get that. No, but I'm not actually getting it. But no, not exactly.
You could try that method I said earlier. Just like click down and don't release the mouse.
Right. Oh yeah, there it is. It's true. Actually, I was able to do that. Let me share my screen again. By doing that, let me double check. So yeah, there it actually. To kind of like just do this for a second. But that means that that thing is not actually
Like, oh,
right. Here we go.
Yeah, it's right
visible
there.
pattern right there. Value pattern. Okay, so value pattern. Right. Now the question is, and this is interesting, how you can access it without clicking. Because notice that you have to click to access it. One of the reasons why we definitely do not recommend right away using UIA for this type of things is because there's some things that you have to wrap your hand around. Elements can only be accessible if they are created. And the fact that you can see it in this particular instance doesn't mean that it's created. What you're looking at is at a different element, which is weird, it's crazy. A quick way for me to explain that, when you minimize a window, all the controls are gone, are disappeared, they're not there. So if the window is minimized, you cannot use dump all to see the controls, okay? Because the controls don't even exist. Right now, something similar is happening. Even though you're looking at the control in there, it seems to be that it's not created. And the reason why I say that is because I put my mouse on top of it and the scanner is trying to get it and it doesn't get it for some reason. So it seems, notice that what it did is that it grabbed the whole, the main control. I put my mouse on it and it couldn't get that element. It is getting the whole control. So once you click, element gets created somehow. I don't know how that works. And it is one of the reasons why we say, like, just go ahead and do that, like with UIA as easy, because it is easier to get the DOM to do this. The DOM already has all the elements in it.
it actually works very different from that today. The controls are actually there. I've tested it, but it's just the problem is getting it as a value. I mean, even if you use dump all, it gives you the URL, right? And didn't the creator of this say, like, if you could get the information in dump all, you could get
Right. Yeah, that's what I was gonna just go ahead and do. So for example, look at this. I go ahead and grab the URL. Let's look for Chrome.exe. So that's gonna be HK. So HK.exe. So I'm gonna get that. Or maybe, you know what? Let me just use YouTube as a title. So this is the title for that test. Test set title match mode 2, and I would grab that window, I would grab the element, and what I'm going to try to find is automation ID. I think you used the word video. What was it? Video
title, yeah.
right? Is that what you meant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and try this. Let me go ahead and see what I get by that. Let me run this up. There was no output debug. I didn't have any issues with the handle. Looks like I got a handle. But I didn't quite get this part. So let me try this. So let me try output debug.
Dump all.
I'm gonna use that. Yeah, dump all first, just to verify that I have the correct window. But basically, yeah, here we go, and this is for, okay, so I just got the whole thing. I'm not getting the Can you show me, can you tell me the code that you use for targeting that particular window? Because I'm using, for getting the element, just that.
So let me send it in chat. You could just copy and paste.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be great. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is actually getting these elements, this list of elements. So what I would do, 114 test YouTube. So let me see if I could get this 114 test. Does it have a space in there? Looks like one. Let me see if I can get a handle from this one. Okay. Yes, I did. So now I'm getting a dump hole.
Alright.
That's taking a long time to dump it.
So that's the beginning, and then this is like the end.
Okay, so this is what I got. Okay. Just one second. And automation ID. And I do not see any URLs. Okay, hold on. I got it here. So here's a hyperlink. Okay, I got some of them. This is what I'm looking for now. Okay. So I was just looking for a URL. Here we go. So this is one of them. This is one of the ones that I want. And you can target it by the path. You see this number here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can grab that and basically let me try what happens here. Did I get something there? Oh, there it is. Yes. So look at this. So let's run this again. Right, there it is. So this is what I get here. And if you want to get just the value, you have to use current value, I think it is. I think there's a property that allows you to do that. Look at that.
Oh, nice.
There you go. So the thing is that there's to, whatever option you have, let me show you this. Dump. This is something that is good to know. You see that it says value and it says localized control type. Those are properties that you have, right? Now, the properties, you have two types of way of getting the property. One of them is cached and one of them is current. That's the difference between the two. So cached is if you have saved it, and current. You always want the current one, and then you put the name of the value that you want to grab. And that would tell you, that should actually return, you see that link? That is the control type. So if you want the value, you have to use value, but you have to specify the word current right in front of it. And that's what is going to happen. It's just going to give you the link or the name, any particular property. So any property that you want, if you want to grab that, just use the current and then the property that you're targeting. So in this case, notice that now I'm getting the title of the video and, a little bit of more information, So again, notice that it is doable with UIA, but it's a little bit different on how some people might be used to. So it might be a little bit more complex because it has a learning curve. Now you learned that you can access the properties by using the word current in front of it. Current value, current name, current whatever.
I'm trying to remember, I put the links to, they just haven't been released yet because we did so many videos. I don't want to put more than one out a day, but they're unlisted, so you can watch them. And do you remember which one? Was it the Chromium video or the automating Chrome video where I remember we talked about that, Descolada.
Right. It was about automating Chrome, right?
Okay.
So it was the first, I think it was the first one we did. Yeah.
The first one was the Chromium app. The second one.
Okay, then the second one then. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, thanks everyone. We're running out of time. We got to jump over to the hero hour. But
Yeah.
so much. It's great.
God damn. All right, thanks, bro.
You're welcome.
See ya, everybody.
Thanks.
Good to see you. Bye.
Wasn't very talkative today, everybody. I was very distracted and trying to get some stuff, that stupid little mistake I made fixed. But I got it.